Sometimes we become trapped in our own illusions, refusing to truly evaluate our circumstances and ourselves within them. This was true for my ex-girlfriend, who fell prey to flattery and overestimated her abilities, ultimately leading to a lifelong consequence. During my college years, I met Luda, and we began a relationship that carried on until I completed my studies. It was at this point that we decided to take the next step and move in together. Luda secured a job as a perfume saleswoman at a prominent shopping center, while I diligently searched for employment in my field as a programmer. However, for the first couple of years, my job hunting journey consisted of hopping from one office to another, accepting positions, working for a month or two, and then moving on. Whether due to dissatisfaction with working conditions or interpersonal relationships, or simply unable to progress beyond the probationary period, which officially paid only half of the salary, substantial income was out of reach. Nevertheless, I managed to cover our rent and basic necessities with the money I earned. At some point, there was a noticeable shift in my relationship with Lyudmila. She had a new colleague who quickly became her close friend. This girl had a lavish lifestyle, relying on her relationships with wealthy men and wearing expensive clothes. She also had numerous cosmetic procedures, particularly lip lifts and augmentations. It seemed like she influenced Lyudmila's behavior as well. She even visited us a couple of times. Lyudmila started listening to claims from her friend that despite being 24 years old, I hadn't showered her with gold, fur coats, luxurious vacations, or diamonds on her fingers. However, it was important to note that she contributed very little financially to our household. Nevertheless, I tried my best to please her. She expressed a desire to obtain her driver's license, and I found a way to provide the necessary funds. However, as soon as she accomplished that, she began requesting a car. Not just any car, but the newest and most glamorous one with all the additional features, as she believed the basic model was insufficient. Initially, I tried to fulfill her desires, but I soon realized it was never enough. It felt like she was becoming more demanding, as if she grew two new heads for everyone I managed to address, much like the mythical creature Gorinich. After receiving a fur coat, she started asking for boots and a designer purse. While I understood the importance of a girl looking nice and presentable, having almost 20 pairs of nearly identical sandals and still wanting more seemed excessive. Additionally, gaining experience with a simpler car would have been a reasonable step before moving on to a more extravagant one. As her demands escalated, our relationship began to deteriorate. I couldn't afford certain things that her new friend had influenced her to desire. We started fighting frequently, and the strains of our relationship became more evident. At one point, I decided to change jobs again, hoping for a better opportunity. A vacancy opened up at a prestigious firm, and I dedicated all my efforts into securing it. The applicants had to go through several rounds of selection, including interviews, tests, and a theory exam. During that whole week, I was feeling a lot of pressure and anxiety, constantly preparing myself, reading and reviewing materials, and even reaching out to former classmates for advice. I believed that during such a crucial time, my girlfriend should show her support by occasionally bringing me food and making sure I had enough coffee. I was longing for her encouraging words and belief in me. However, one day she abruptly told me that we were strangers, that she didn't love me anymore, and that she no longer wanted to be with me. It was definitely an uncomfortable situation, but deep down, I knew that this relationship had become toxic. It seemed like I had to constantly buy her things or listen to her belittling me based on whatever her gossiping friend whispered in her ear. So I helped her pack her belongings, called a cab, and within minutes, I felt a sense of relief that I could finally focus fully on preparing for the interview and on my work. Little did I know, she had already moved on to someone else. Fortunately, I managed to secure the coveted position in the end. However, it came at a high cost. Hours of preparation, minimal sleep, and reliance on fast food. Nevertheless, the outcome exceeded my expectations. I quickly gained recognition from my superiors, and within 6 months, I even received a small promotion. To celebrate this achievement, I decided to organize a modest and professional gathering during lunchtime with my colleagues. I rushed to the store to buy some cakes and fruit. While in the bakery section, I unexpectedly came across a familiar face. It was one of Luda's colleagues, the one with the artificial lips. I couldn't help but question how someone like her knew the location of a regular supermarket entrance. We greeted each other politely and inquired about everyone's well-being. In particular, I asked how Luda was doing, hoping for a brief response indicating that everything was fine. However, my girlfriend had an unstoppable desire to share a plethora of information with me. Her stories would jump from one extreme to another, discussing both the negative and positive aspects of her life. After our separation, it seemed that Luda had quickly moved on. Within 6 months, she had found a new romantic interest. One day, an attractive man in his mid-30s visited her store. He selected a perfume for himself and complimented the salesperson. Luda actively assisted him in choosing the fragrance and gladly accepted the kind words he threw her way. The following day, the man returned and requested help in selecting a perfume for his father's birthday. He expressed his satisfaction with Luda's assistance and then invited her for coffee. Within a couple of days, they progressed to having dinner in a restaurant. Their relationship continued to develop steadily. Naturally, Luda confided in her colleague, sharing every detail of the situation. After a few weeks, Paul, the man she had grown close to, suggested that Luda deserved a more prestigious position, as he believed her talents were not being fully utilized in her current job. Paul, being the head of a large accounting firm, offered her a job there. It was at this point that Luda decided to end our relationship and embark on a new chapter in her life. Luda and her friend frequently conversed over the phone, met up at coffee shops, and exchanged updates on her new accounting education. Despite lacking formal education in accounting, Ludmila's partner quickly resolved this issue. He purchased fake documents for her, took her to lectures, urged her to explore online presentations, and she gained a general understanding of the profession. The new acquaintance praised Luda's intellectual abilities and claimed that she would outshine everyone in the company. Trying to recall moments when she displayed such erudition during our relationship, I struggled to find any. While Luda wasn't unintelligent, her high school grades were average at best, and she often made mistakes with her rent payments. It seemed unlikely that she could possess such sharpness in an unfamiliar profession. Pasha, however, insisted that he alone saw a hidden gem in her. He became deeply involved with the naive girl, showering her with extravagant gifts, expensive jewelry, a brand new car, and more. He professed his love, promising her the world. After just a few months, he even offered her the position of director in the company. Luda was blinded by the unexpected turn of luck that had befallen her. Overflowing with excitement, she treated her former colleagues to lavish dinners, proudly displaying her shiny rings and bracelets, and sharing her extravagant plans for the future. She reveled in her newfound power, even going so far as to order a gold-plated pen for signing documents. In addition, Pasha announced that he would be away for a few days, but promised to arrange their wedding upon his return. Luda bid him farewell on a Saturday, feeling overjoyed about their future together. However, her world was shattered on Monday when individuals dressed in formal attire arrived at the office carrying large folders. It quickly became evident that they were conducting a thorough investigation. Luda, as the director of the company, had no clue about the situation and presented all the documents from the safe while offering coffee, hoping to cooperate. It didn't take long for the investigators to uncover serious irregularities. The girl found herself unable to explain or clarify anything. Frantically dialing Pavel's number, Luda discovered that his SIM card was inactive. As the director of the entire firm, Luda was accused of embezzling substantial amounts of money, forging documents, making illegal transfers to non-existent companies, and other unlawful activities. They seized all possible assets to cover the debt, the office building, equipment, and even furniture. The principal herself suffered a loss, as her luxury car and all of her jewelry, including the pieces I had given her, were taken. In light of her misconduct and illicit financial activities, Luda received a substantial fine. Pavel, who had distanced himself from his former fiancée, was eventually located by the police and successfully proved his innocence. He claimed to have had minimal involvement with Luda and had left the company long before any wrongdoing occurred. It appeared that he had been meticulously preparing for the inspection since the moment he met Luda and cleverly transferred the money to himself without anyone suspecting a thing. What a remarkable intellect he possessed. Now, Luda will face a life of paying fines to the state, unless she manages to find a wealthy fool